Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, good morning, bonjour, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? It's Ken at 10. It's Friday, my favorite day of the week, as your regular viewers will know. Why do I love Fridays? I don't know, something about the anticipation of the weekend, together with the fact that it's the peak day for getting people out for viewings. Most people, when they're viewing houses, like to view over a weekend. Saturdays around lunchtime, between sort of 11 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, tends to be the time most people like to view. And that's a great time because in the week, quite often we're speaking to people over the telephone, but on a Saturday particularly, we get to meet people, which is always lovely, and show them around different properties. And the job today, as always on a Friday, is hitting the phones, making sure that everybody that's out viewing is viewing the properties that we have available to make sure our vendors get the best possible chance of the best possible price. A couple of sales agreed yesterday, which is great. One on the Scots Estate and one in Pollard's Hill South to our buyer that we're retained by. We have a buyer that's looking for 3-bedroom houses locally within sort of 15 minutes of the station, and they're buying cash and they're buying lots. We're retained by them, so there's no fees to pay, and it's quite a good deal for those of you out there considering. So do get in touch if you have a house that might fit that criterion. No obligation, of course. So how are you today? I hope you're doing well. This is Ken at 10. We're James Alexander Estate Agents. We broadcast daily at 10. That's why it's Ken at 10 every weekday. And we talk about property, the weather, whatever's going on really in the world. We've got the pandemic at the moment, haven't we? It's a bit shocking, isn't it? The shelves again, really? Are we all going to panic over that? My advice, calm down. Apart from that, we have blue skies and sunshine all the way today. Apparently, it's going to get a little bit stormy tomorrow, which is a bit of a shame, and I'll tell you why. Tomorrow, we have our office summer barbecue, which is happening back at our house, and the team are coming over, and we're going to have a lot of laughs. We're going to do some badminton, some games, some barbecue, and slowly get drunk together and smile and laugh and do a lot of rubbish karaoke. But it's really nice to just get out and about and get away from the office and get everyone together and galvanised as a team. We're saying goodbye tomorrow to our cleaner, our lovely cleaner, Maxine, who's leaving the area. And today we have our window cleaner coming. We're going to do that live for you. We've bought what we think is a beautiful gift for him. He's been cleaning windows here in the Norbury office for over 20 years. In fact, I think more than 30. He's had to retire due to ill health recently. And we just thought, you know what? Let's get him a really nice gift, get him into the office, present him with it. We're going to do that live right here on the James Alexander Facebook page at around midday today. And we think he'll be quite touched. He's a nice guy. And we figure, you know, it's important to recognize the little people. You know, there's a saying that I love, you know, in terms of people, and that is that, you know, people are judged by how they treat the little people in their life, the people that can do nothing for them. And I think it's really important that, you know, when you look at people and they know they're treating restaurant staff badly, and people that really they're able to treat badly, they choose to treat badly. And I really hate that. I think the opposite should be true. They should be treated with at least as much respect as everybody else, probably a bit more. And that's why we like to look after people like John, the window cleaner, and Maxine, the cleaner. Very important to us that people like that are respected, looked after, and made sure that they know how much we appreciate what they do. So apart from that, we've got lots of valuations today. Going to meet a vendor in a minute who's considering letting out the property they bought through us, and now considering renting it out while they go overseas for a while. And then after that, we've got John, and we're going to present to him his present for leaving or retiring from us, because we figure, you know, he's window cleaning up and down the high street. I'm sure no one else has got him a present, or if they have, not very much. So it'd just be nice to give him a proper send-off. And then this afternoon, another good valuation coming in, and that's in the Green Lane area, so looking forward to that too. And then, as I say, tomorrow, the big day for the viewing. So the big push now is on getting people out the door. Let's look at the headlines for the day. First of all, the Express. That's not a paper we hear much from these days, is it? Rightmove expert claims it's still a great seller's market. And this is the Rightmove property expert, who is Tim Bannister. And he says that the UK still has a great seller's market despite the stamp duty, land tax or holiday threshold being reduced last month. Property prices across the UK have continued to surge in recent months as buyers look to take advantage of the stamp duty holiday. And it saw more UK buyers than ever before looking for homes that suit their changing needs. He said it's still a great seller's market despite the end of the holiday. And then we have an interesting and encouraging one in the Evening Standard from Workspace. And this is one about the pre-COVID levels and office demand. What they're saying is office demand is now running at pre-COVID levels. And that's really significant for London, I think, having office demand come back up again. They say that on average, They've had 947 inquiries in the quarter per month, and that's up from 506 a year earlier. And they're saying their confidence is that they've come through the worst of the pandemic and are now on a clear positive trajectory. Well, I think that's good for the whole of London. When people are getting back to work, back to their office spaces, that has to be good. I know people love, the idea of working from home and everything else, but we still do need people in London, and we're looking forward to some degree of normality there, because there are a lot of businesses that rely on that trade. We want them back. We want London to be that vibrant city that it was before the pandemic as we recover from this thing. And then in the Mail like an astonishing headline, don't they? But this one's quite interesting. A Chinese billionaire has got the go-ahead to build a £500 million home. This will be the most expensive home in London. Westminster City Council has given the green light to Hong Kong-based tycoon Chung Q's proposals for the 205 million property. That's what he paid for it, by the way. And that includes an extended basement and a halo roof. The scheme will see 2 to 8A Rutland Gate becoming Britain's most expensive home. It will be 62,000 square feet. It was originally a row of 4 terraced houses, but was converted into a single mansion in the mid-80s. Why did we let them do that? There were 4 perfectly good homes there that were all millionaire homes anyway, and we've let them knock them all together into one. Doesn't seem right to me, but nonetheless, the most expensive property in London is being put together at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see what that looks like in the end. We'll give you pictures when we get them. Apart from that, homelessness is up 9% since the start of 2021. And we've said for a long time that this really has been a pandemic of two halves. On the one hand, the poor have become a lot poorer. On the one hand, the middle classes and the rich have become more wealthy generally. And we're certainly finding that looking at the figures. They say that 68,250 households were assessed to be homeless between January and March this year. That's up 9% on the previous quarter, but it's still below 9% for the first quarter of 2020. Shelter said it's a scary sign of times that even the eviction ban couldn't stop thousands of families becoming homeless in 2021. And now the eviction ban has been lifted, far more people could be faced with the brutal reality of being homeless. The bottom line, she added, is that there aren't enough social homes, which has created a massive bottleneck, trapping huge numbers of people in crummy temporary accommodation. So very sad. That's highlighted in the Daily Express and the Mail today. Now, the Bank of England governor, this is something that was in BBC News and the Daily Telegraph, Ben Broadbent, has said rise in inflation, mainly due to the rises in goods and prices, is temporary and should not trigger a reduction in support for the economy. The bank expects inflation to hit more than 3%, but believes it's mostly down to oil price rises and is likely to fall away in the early part of 2022. This will be important, and I'll tell you why it's important, because if inflation starts to spike phenomenally at some point, they may look to raise interest rates, and that would be a disaster both for the housing market and the economy. So that's good news, really. And finally, Jeremy Clarkson apparently is encouraging people to look for places in the Cotswolds. And this is an article which is in the Metro. It says Jeremy Clarkson's Amazon series, Clarkson's Farm, has led to a surge in searches for homes in the Cotswold, according to the website. Searches for homes to buy in the village of Chadlington jumped by 500% in June. It's amazing what a TV program can do, isn't it? Rightmove recorded the jump and said that Chadlington recorded a bigger surge in interest than anywhere else in Britain in June 2021. All down to Jeremy Clarkson. Can you believe that? When compared to the same period in 2020, that is. Chipping Norton also recorded a 64% increase in searches following increasing interest from home movers looking to relocate to countryside towns and villages. Rightmove suggested viewers have been captivated by the local countryside and look for homes for sale around the area where it's filmed. The website's director of property data, Tim, said, with a number of places to discover and areas of natural beauty to explore in the Cotswolds, it's easy to see why the show has sparked so much interest in nearby areas. But it's amazing, isn't it, the influence a single show can have on where people decide to look for a home. And sometimes they can give a rather jaded approach of what might be a more difficult place to live than it initially appears, because everything looks beautiful on camera, doesn't it, especially in the sunshine. I wonder if it's quite so beautiful in the mid-depths of dark winter when it's cold. And people might look a little bit differently when they can't find their local coffee shop or supermarket around the corner. But that's, I think, a story for the future. I've said for a while now that I think a lot of people are going to be thinking, yeah, we'll make this move. And a lot of people are making this move. A lot of Londoners are saying to us, look, we're moving out to the countryside, idyllic lifestyle and all the rest of it. But I do think some of those will be shocked by A, rail fares, B, time and efficiency of commuting long distances on unreliable trains, and C, why their neighbours want to know everything about them, and D, the inconvenience of trying to find things that they've taken for granted whilst living in London. So it could be a really interesting time to see how much that demographic changes around in the next year or so. Definitely we've seen a seismic shift. I don't think that's going to change entirely, but I do think we're going to see a gravitation back to London to a degree, and it'd just be interesting to see how much that is. In terms of how it's affecting the property market and prices, so far so good, to be honest, but one of the reasons for that is that we have a huge lack of available stock, and that seems to be continuing. I've always said that, us Londoners are good at doing one thing when we're not sure, and that's nothing. And that seems to be what's happening at the moment. People are waiting to see, and that can lead to a huge dearth of stock, nothing being available for people to see. So therefore, when something comes available, the demand is there, and therefore this is underpinning prices. The supply has certainly fallen away, and the demand has fallen away too, but certainly the demand is still there to a degree, and the supply is not. So it can still be a good time to market. It might surprise you if you're thinking of moving. I know one of the attractions for Londoners used to be that they could sell at a premium and then buy at a discount in other areas. Unfortunately, this has been like, the pandemic has been like no other property market we've ever seen. We used to say that if you throw a stone in the center of London, the ripples come out. Well, if anything, the opposite is true these days. If you threw a stone in Brighton, then the ripples look like they've come inwards, not outwards. So it's been very different, a very extraordinary market. And, one of the privileges we have here is being at the coalface of it, at the front line, seeing what reactions are to the current market. And it really has been a market of two halves. On the one hand, 3-bedroom housing and flats with gardens at a premium. On the other hand, flats without gardens being more difficult to sell. And certainly there's been a huge price difference between 3-bedroom houses going up a bit and flats coming down a bit. So really intriguing market. Having said that, seems to be starting to recover on both fronts. First-time buyers are back, and that's good news. And I think as the market eases and the pandemic hopefully eases, let's hope Dr. Georgia Ladbury is right, and we get past the peak of this before the winter arrives, and therefore we're okay when winter hits with our booster jabs. Things can start getting back to normal even more. Just whilst we're on the subject of COVID, just touching on that, as far as we're concerned here at James Alexander, we've taken the view that as much as the government might be saying relax the rules and everything else, we're not. We think that the most important thing right now is to make sure everybody's as protected as they can be. So we're still keeping the office locked, appointment only in our office. As far as viewings are concerned, a maximum of 2 people. We're still requiring PPE and shoe covers, and basically protecting our clients and staff as much as we can, because why would you not? We're still in this pandemic. The numbers show us that, and it might be that you don't get serious COVID because you've been jabbed, but you could still pass it on to somebody else who is vulnerable. And so, we're really protective of that. And we've got particular clients that are more vulnerable than others. And, we need to protect them. It's not just about protecting us or you, it's actually about protecting our clients. And so, I think it's a really difficult balance. For us, we've taken the view that COVID has not gone away. We wish it had, but it's still around, and therefore we want to make sure everybody's protected wherever possible. So COVID rules apply here, I'm afraid. Don't want to be miserable, don't want to be a party pooper, but we do want to make sure that everyone's as protected as they possibly can be. So aside from that, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We're certainly looking forward to it. Lots going on with the company barbecue, plus looking forward to seeing John. I'm going to do that live, the window cleaner, today here at 12 o'clock in the office. Hope you have a fantastic day and a fantastic weekend, guys. Stay safe. And we'll be back on Monday with another edition, letting you know what happened at the office party.